Hello and welcome back to another fantasy football video. Hope you guys are doing well. We are very much in the middle of game week 33. I mean, we're basically at the start of game week 33 to be honest. But I'm pushing this video out early because if you are like me and you're planning on playing your free hit, there is plenty of planning to be done ahead of that looming deadline on the Saturday morning. Going to come very quickly, this one. So today's video is mainly going to be focused around strategies and kind of teams and players that we can put into a free hit. If you are new around here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out. Hit the like button if you enjoy this kind of style of content. And, well, let's get straight on into this one. So in terms of strategies that you can do going into game week 34 with a free hit, there are three main formations that I like the look of. Personally, my favourite is the 3-5-2. Generally, across the game, midfielders tend to outscore attackers and defenders. Generally, especially on the single/double game weeks, they tend to be the players that haul more than the other guys, with the exception, obviously, this season of Erling Haaland being an absolute beast. Then the 3-4-3 formation this week is going to be a little bit punty in contrast to game week 32, where there are an abundance of attackers. This week, there are going to be an abundance of midfielders. That means if you're going for the 3-4-3, it's going to be a little bit more punty. 4-5-1 is a bit more of a risk-averse formation. This is for those people that want to ensure that they're going to be getting a full 11 out that guarantees that they're going to play both fixtures, because I feel like the defensive picks are more likely to play it across both doubles than some of the attackers/midfielders are. So I've split this up here into essential and template picks. So the essential players are going to be the players that basically just have to go into your team straight away. Haaland, Salah and Rashford, I can see those three in that order being the kind of captaincy picks of this game week. Haaland been a monster so far this season. Most people are going to captain him. A lot of people are going to be trying to get Salah into their teams. It's a great opportunity if you do have a free hit to bring Salah in just for the double game week, as he could absolutely smash it with 2 home fixtures. And then Rashford, another simple one, high ownership, got okay fixtures across the double. Then template, I mean, Trent, you could argue, you could kind of push up into the essential as well. Now that he's moved into that midfield position, he's managed to pick himself up 4 attacking returns in the last 3 games. So a lot of people are going to be scrambling to get him in if they don't own a free hit. Then I've got Edison there. Now for me, he is the pick of the goalkeepers. We're going to be looking towards getting a Manchester City defensive asset, and most of them, Akanji, Diaz, Ake, we don't know whether they're going to play across both games in the double, whereas Edison, there's no reason to suspect why he wouldn't. And in other teams such as Liverpool, Brighton, Manchester United, there are defenders there that we can rely on to play across the double. Maybe not so much with Manchester United, but I would say that their assets defensively are more reliable than the Manchester City assets defensively. And then finally, you've got one Brighton midfielder. So for me, that would be one of Mitoma or March. My gut is telling me to go for Mitoma. Now, his chance creation over the past couple of weeks has been really good. Scored a goal that got disallowed and then also should have had a penalty. But on the flip side, March has actually scored 8 more points. At the end of the day, the points in this game are what matters. So it's kind of a 50-50. And for me, I'm swaying towards Mitoma. March did pick up a little bit of a knock in the FA Cup semi-final that they played against Manchester United. So it'll be quite interesting to see in game week 33 who De Zerbi does line up with. Now, we've got 6 players there that we can basically put into our team each time we build our drafts, but who are we going to fill out the rest of the draft with? Now, when you're playing the 3 at the back, I feel like the defense basically picks itself. We'll come on to that a little bit later when I do preview the final free hit team. But what we're now going to be looking at is the players to fill the rest of the spots. So, for example, in the 3-5-2, the extra 2 midfielders and the attacker. So the first option we're going for here is the 3-5-2 with March, Grealish and Jota. Now, if you go for March, it allows you to, or we're going for a little bit more budget here in midfield to allow us to get a more expensive attack in specifically Diogo Jota, who's been on incredibly good form of late for Liverpool. Now, Jota, there has been speculation as to whether he is going to start across both of the across both of the fixtures, basically. Now, with the form that he's on, if he does start in game 33, for me, there's no reason that he's going to be benched in either of the games. Klopp has been yearning for a goal scorer so far this season, and Jota's come back from injury and has absolutely smashed it. So I feel like Gakpo, Nunez, etc., are much more likely to get benched for Jota because of the form that he is in. Jack Grealish, part of a Manchester City side that's gunning for the league, but they're also gunning for the Champions League. So worth thinking about whether debating whether you think Grealish or one of the other Manchester City assets is more likely to play. I think Foden coming back from injury, Mahrez scoring a hat-trick in the FA Cup semi-final. There are a lot of good Manchester City assets there to go for, especially when you're on a double game week, especially when you are on a free hit and you can pick any one of them that you want. You want to go in there. You also want to have a bit of fun. Mahrez, a very explosive player on a single game week, can absolutely smash it. We just know that his consistency isn't great. Whereas Grealish, of late, his form has been really good, and he has been consistently playing. And as previously mentioned, I do like Solly March as well. In contrast, you could go through a 3-5-2, where you go for a complete budget attacker in Ciso, allowing you to spend a bit more in the midfield on the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes. Now, many of you will know that Bruno Fernandes does currently have an injury. He's in here for me because I think that if he does play, or if he is available for the double game week, he could absolutely smash it. Now, many of you will be quite annoyed at Bruno Fernandes because he's not been getting attacking returns. He has just looked really dangerous in the last couple of games that I've watched him play. Now playing in that cam position ahead of Casemiro, he looks a lot more attacking than when Casemiro was out and he was dropping back a little bit. So if you do have Bruno Fernandes and you're not on a free hit, hold him. I think he will get points in this game week if he's not injured. And if you're looking for a free And if you're looking at a potential free hit option, I do think that Bruno Fernandes should come under some consideration, obviously, if he is not injured. De Bruyne, a great player to go for on a free hit. Many people have already committed themselves to a Grealish and Salah strategy, not really allowing themselves movement to get De Bruyne in. So if you can get De Bruyne in on this free hit, a great one, because his ownership is going to be a little bit lower and could potentially be quite a good differential for this double game week. Then taking a look at a 4-5-1 scenario, where personally I would play Robertson as that final defender. His attacking output, it's gone down a bit now that Klopp has changed that formation and Robertson's basically playing as a left centre-back, but we know that he can get attacking returns every now and again in this formation, or he has got, I think, an attacking return in this new formation. So it shows that he does have a bit of attacking output, and it also can pick up some bonus points as well. And then the other two midfielders that I'd go for in this formation would be Solly March and Kevin De Bruyne. I just quite like that combination. Personally, I quite like the idea of having at least two Brighton attacking / midfielder options. They offer really good kind of value for money, and with the fixtures they've got, could absolutely smash it this week. Now, the 3-4-3 is the most punty formation of the lot. You've got Enciso and Jota there up front, both players who have very high potential of being rotated. And then Bruno Fernandes here can basically be any one of the midfielders that we have discussed. I put him in there because he makes the most use of the budget that you do have in this formation with this setup of players. But any one of the other midfielders you could go for. My preference out of these would probably be the 3-5-2 in the top left. It just looks quite good to me. It looks like a nice balance. I think Enciso is just a little bit too punty to be going for him as the striker, so I prefer Jota. And with preferring Jota playing the 5 across the midfield. It means that if you can't afford De Bruyne, then you got to go for Grealish and Solly March. But with this being said, let's take a look at the final free hit team that we have crafted. So this is the free hit team. Basically, you've got Edison there in goal, as previously mentioned, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, the other two defenders that I've gone for are Estupiñán and Shaw. Estupiñán, you can argue that he's good for an attacking return, but realistically of late, like, Dunk has been just as good, and also Dunk potentially better for bonus points as well. I just think with how far Estupiñán does get forward in games, surely he is going to get an attacking return. So I think I would just go for Estupiñán over Dunk. In the past, there have been speculation whether he's going to get rotated. He got subbed off for 45 minutes in a game, but since then has played 90 minutes in basically every single game. So I don't think that there is going to be rotation there. But if you are a little bit scared of that, then you could go for Dunk potentially over Estupiñán. Luke Shaw coming back from injury, playing pretty decently in the FA Cup semi-final, can either play at left centre-back and left-back. Both of which bode quite well for him in terms of fantasy points, because when he plays at left centre back, he tends to do quite well on the bonus points. Earlier on in the season, when he was playing in that position, he was picking up 3 bonus points every time they were keeping a clean sheet. And at left back, he's also more likely to get attacking returns. So there are some big upsides to Luke Shaw. I've gone for March and De Bruyne as my 2 midfield options. Now, this is a very expensive team, as you can see there on the team value. If you can't quite afford De Bruyne in this team, then dropping it down to Jack Grealish, absolutely viable option. They could quite easily match one another for this game week, but as previously mentioned, I do just quite like the idea of a punt for De Bruyne across the double game week. He got benched in the FA Cup semi-final. Will probably play against Arsenal. So that could be another thing that you kind of take into consideration, is who plays in the Arsenal game. Does that then mean they're going to get benched against Fulham or against West Ham, especially when Manchester City have got Champions League in the weeks to come after that? So plenty of considerations to be had around Manchester City assets. But on paper, for me, De Bruyne is potentially the one to go for. Then Solly March, he's got those 2 home games. I'm personally a bit of a sucker for home games. Teams tend to perform better at home than they do away from home, especially in terms of scoring goals. Playing against 2 teams that are actually on pretty decent form at the minute, but so are Brighton. So if Solly March is all fit and ready to go, then I think he will be in my double game team. Then the 2 strikers, I mean, Erling Haaland, absolutely dominant so far this season. And then Diogo Jota, if he starts in Game Week 33, then I will 100% be putting him into my team for Game Week 34. 2 home games against a Spurs side and a Fulham side that have both looked defensively a bit poor of late. And so, Jota would be a bit of a shoo-in into my team. Do let me know down in the comments the players that you're thinking of bringing in for double gaming 34. Do let me know if you are free hitting the team that you are going for. I'm intrigued to see what you guys think of this team and the potential players that you guys yourselves are thinking of creating a free hit team with. And if you are new around here, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button if you enjoy the video, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.